conversation piece, office pools, employee of the month, you name it. There's tons of different trophies that you used to buy plaques for. Well, I'm here to tell you about Pro-Am Championship belts, who have the highest quality championship belt with the lowest prices. Replace those old trophies with stock belts on hand that they can customize for as low as $30. Any occasion, celebrations, awards, championships, fantasy leagues, gifts, plus wrestling, mixed martial arts, boxing. If you need championship belts, check them out. Pro-Am Championship Belts, ProAmBelts.com. Look them up on Facebook, Pro-Am Belts. Trust me, nothing says cool like doing the discount double check with a real championship belt. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. Now you too can have one thanks to Pro-Am Championship Belts.
Hey, you guys are rocking with Reggie Germany, former wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Ohio State Buckeye. You're rocking with the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, final segment as we roll on towards the end of the show across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you guys, and hey, we're going to go to the phone lines here. I've got callers on the phones here. We'll take the final phone call of the day. You know what? Before I even get back into anything else, let's do that. Let's go to the phones. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome into the Sports Fix.
J-Rock Daddy.
Hey, what's up? LGZ, what's happening, my man?
Well, we got the decision from the Browns coaching staff, namely Mike Pettin, and we're going to see if this team and this coaching staff can react to what happened in Washington and put something together. Excuse me.
My man, I'm done with the garbage talking
I'm all
about
choked
debates.
up,
Oh, it's all good. Hey, it's all good, man. I was afraid you were watching Brandon Whedon play or something, but
man.
Then you would have been throwing up. But anyways,
right.
I'm just excited to have that done. I don't care now. Everybody focus on Saturday. Now there's no excuses. Let's go out there.
That's what this team needs to do. They need to get back in the business of building a football team and getting this offense ready to see if they can go out and compete this season.
You have to. Now, you don't just owe it to the quarterbacks. The hell with that's two guys on a team that right now still has 90 guys on it. I know guys are going to get cut, but you've got 90 guys. You've got an entire organization. You've got people who do this day to day for a living, and you got millions of fans out there. It is time to now whatever. We can talk about the past. I don't like talking about the past. It's over. Now
we move forward. About the past, J-Rock? I'm talking about the future.
It's over today. The quarterback debate.
It's time to get down to work and build the seriousness of getting ready for the Pittsburgh game starts today, baby.
That's where I'm at. That's what I'm saying.
They have to get ready. I know we got 2 more preseason games coming up, but that's just the practice session for the inevitable.
These games,
September,
for me,
man.
Every practice session between now and the beginning of the season, we are practicing against Pittsburgh's playbook. We're practicing and preparing for Pittsburgh. We just happen to have a game against the Rams on the way, but that doesn't even matter. That's practice against another team. Everything they do from now until September is to get ready for game number 1. That's it. There's nothing else to do.
You know what would make that Rams game really complete for me, J-Rock Daddy?
A nice solid first half by everybody. That would make it work for me, but go ahead.
Well, no, man. I would bring back Bernie Kosar for an encore performance of last year's broadcast.
Let me tell you, for those of you that have problems with Bernie,
that would make my night complete,
brother. Solomon Wilcox doesn't do nothing but do the Browns a favor like he did in that first game. If Bernie would have been, could you imagine? Could you imagine some of the things he would have said while he was calling that game? That's all I'm going to say, man. Could you imagine?
Wait, which game, J-Rock?
The last game, any of them. But, I mean, could you imagine him as these quarterbacks are fumbling and bumbling and rumbling through this thing? Bernie may have gotten himself fired live on the air by the time he was done, man. You know it. He would have said, Father, forgive me, I have to watch all of these quarterbacks play tonight. That's what he would have said, man.
I think Bernie could have went out there and ran the offense better than any of them did the other night.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
I mean,
There's no question about it.
I mean, today. I mean, like, Bernie could just throw a helmet on, and he could have went out there and probably done a better job.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, J-Rod, this is where Mike Patton needs to step up to the pedestal, and he needs to take leadership, because there's a lot of corrections that need to be made before this coming Saturday. But I'm looking ahead to the start of the season. This is where we're going to see if this coaching staff is worthy of being NFL coaching material. Because let's face it, we have a coaching staff, Mike Patton. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
I'm not so sure he's ready to be a head coach. He has to prove it to me. Most of all, he needs to prove it that Jimmy has him, because I got to tell you, it'll be another one and done if this Browns has a losing season. Patton will be gone, man.
Well, you know what? I would have disagreed with you before the quarterback thing, but if Jimmy Haslam really is as much of a Manziel guy as people think, then, but you know what? I think Manziel played himself out of the job enough that won't be the case. I honestly cannot see anything short of an absolute embarrassment. I mean, a 1-15 type of thing. I can't see Haslam dumping a coach 2 years in a row after 1 year. I just think that does more damage.
Well, if you remember when they hired him, I told you guys back then, man. Right after this guy was hired, I told you the word from the inside was Haslam has no patience for losing. Whether you have the right tools on the team, whether you think about Josh Gordon may not be here, that's a big tool that we might get stolen right out from underneath us. Again, I don't understand what the NFL's holdup here is with this Josh Gordon decision. All that is an inconvenience to the entire coaching staff of the Cleveland Browns, because let's face it, this guy's such a big weapon out there on the football field when he's at 100% and the offense is jelly. You can't survive without a Josh Gordon. Now, what do you do, J-Rock? Do you plan to have Josh Gordon? Do you plan not to have Josh Gordon? I say you have to plan not to have him. But
absolutely,
still, why is the NFL dragging their feet? Only in Cleveland could something like this take this long.
Nah, see, I disagree. This has nothing to do with us. I mean, if the Browns had their way, this thing would have been taken care of a long time ago, man. I just think that this... Listen, people weren't listening when this thing started, and I remember sitting here with John McMullen and sitting here with Bill and talking football and saying Josh Gordon has a decision to make, because if he drags this thing on, this is what is likely to happen. He needs to get this thing wrapped up and over with, but he's the one that made the decisions along the way to go the route that he did with the appeals. And he has not only jeopardized this season, he's jeopardized part of next season as well. Nobody wanted to listen to me. They're like, oh, well, no, it's 16 games. I said, no, it's 12 months to the day, which means if he gets suspended today, he will miss the entire training camp and preseason next year too. So you've now affected 2 seasons. I got to tell you, I think the Browns, yes, obviously they wish the NFL was moving faster on this, but the NFL did move on this. This is now the appeals process. This is on Josh Gordon and the route that he has decided to go fight this thing. He could have easily settled this thing and wrapped it up sooner, or he could have just taken his punishment. Now, obviously, I'd prefer that he play than not play, so that's fine. But to me, I don't think you get mad at the NFL for this, because this is the process, and everybody knew that this could end up taking this long. It could be all the way up until the 4th week of the preseason before this thing is done with. And that was the choice Josh Gordon made. And if you guys remember, when we talked about this before camp, I said if I was Josh Gordon, his agent, and the Browns, I would consider not dragging this thing into training camp, because then you are going to compromise next season too. So, I don't know. I get you. This thing should be done. But when there's legal threats, and when there are threats of going beyond the collective bargaining and going into actual courts of law, that's the reason that this thing is taking every single day. I think it's stupid. I think they should have settled this thing 6 months ago. But I wouldn't necessarily... I mean, the Browns have no responsibility in this whatsoever. And I think the NFL has limited responsibility, because you do realize that it's not the NFL that's ruling on this. It's an arbiter, you know. It's somebody whose job it is to make this ruling independently. So a lot of times those guys, they don't let anybody.
I thought that guy was tied into the NFL, though.
Well, I mean, he may be, but they have to work independently as well. Like, the NFL can't put the hammer down on the guy and tell him to hurry up, because otherwise then it's not an indement process, you know?
Right.
That's my thoughts.
Well, like I said, I'm looking forward to, you know, this Manziel mania is behind us now. We're going to see what it takes to get a football team ready to go into the 2014
We didn't mention
season.
something. We did not mention something else. I know that the Browns' focus needs to be on Pittsburgh and getting Brian Hoyer ready, but now there is a responsibility every single day. Somebody, and I believe this, if you guys remember, when they signed Grossman 10 days ago or whatever it was, I said this is why they signed him, so that while Johnny's sitting on the bench, Rex Grossman's job is to sit next to him after every play and talk to him about it and break it down with him and answer his questions and be his personal quarterback tutor every second of. There can be, what I mean is, there can be no wasted days for Johnny Manziel, regardless if you think he's going to be the quarterback in 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. There can't be wasted days. He can't spend this whole season blowing bubbles and watching Brian Hoyer play quarterback every day. No. For his career, every day the Browns have to have somebody whose job it is on the side to work with him, catch him up on the playbook, get him ready. Number one, because he's the backup quarterback and at any time he could have to play. Number two, because eventually one day or another you're going to turn this thing over to him. He's got to get ready. You can't wait until next training camp and go, okay, time to start working with Johnny again. No, Johnny needs to be worked with every day on the side all the way until it's his opportunity, so that the next time you give him the ball, he's ready for it and he has the opportunity to be the quarterback that people think he can be.
Well, that's obviously why they brought in Grossman, and there's nobody with a better understanding in a Shanahan playbook than Rex Grossman, obviously.
Well, I don't know, but
at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how focused Manziel remains sitting on the sideline.
But that's the key, and that's the Browns' job, is to engage him and to keep him going. But it's also his job, too. And you're right. He can't get disengaged. He needs to be going to the coaches continuously saying, hey, why did Brian do this? Why did he throw to this guy? Okay, so if I run this play, I need to look at this. That's the key, because this is not a regular backup quarterback. This isn't, we can let Brian Hoyer. He sat. Nobody paid attention to him until Whedon went down, and then all of a sudden it was next man up. You can't do that with a young, developing quarterback. It's got to be part of your job every day to continue to work on his development so that when his day does come, he's ready for it. Because otherwise, we have no quarterback that can play on this team. You know what I mean? You have to.
Well, it looked a bit like that the other night.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
After the Washington
a lot of
game,
times, a lot of people that I've talked to already, they say the decision's made. It's Hoyer time. Forget about Manziel. You cannot forget about Manziel if you want him to be good. He has to continue to work every day. That's the Browns' job, is to have somebody working with him individually on top of his teamwork as well.
Well, obviously, and that just shows people's football eyes too when they say forget about Manziel. You can't forget about a first-round draft pick as hard as you try to forget about Brandon Whedon or Trent Richardson, the wasted first-round draft picks. We can't afford to continue wasting first-round draft picks year after year after year, because, let's face it, those things, they don't come around that often where you get a high pick in the draft. And, I'm still a little bit depressed at how we manipulated the draft to make sure we didn't take Sammy Watkins. I'm not saying Sammy Watkins would have been the entire answer, but he certainly is a proven commodity who could have came in and made a difference, especially with the wide receiver question marks that we have right now. But here we go, J-Rock. It's the 2014 starting quarterback naming contest. We've seen who won. Now it's time to get to work and build a football team that can go out there, understand what their job is, and hopefully put some freaking points on the scoreboard, man.
That's the key. That's the key to the whole thing right there, LG.